When I am overwhelmed within, he comforts me and calms my soul. My unknown days are known by him. I leave my times in his control. He bottles up the tears I weep. How precious are his thoughts of me. In peace I will lie down and sleep. For when I wake, he's still with me. His songs will lead me through the night. I'll never go beyond his side. And though I struggle with the wrong, I sing because I know his song. I sing because I know his song. His songs will lead me through the night. I'll never go beyond his side. And though I struggle with the wrong, I sing because I know his song. I sing because I know his song.
All right, does that sound familiar to us? We started with that one. That was one of the ones we did on the first day. And I think it's kind of a good one to bring up for harmony. In a minute, we'll get to learning how to actually recognize harmony and write it. But I kind of bring this one up because I like really threw a lot into the harmony on this one, because you guys may remember when Abigail sent me the song, like, wow, you're waking up or you're awake in the middle of the night and you're thinking all these things. This should be a very thoughtful, deep feeling kind of song. So there's a few little things in there, and I didn't even plan this, but I looked up and noticed that this is a perfect song to show just a couple of things that we did. Let's take a look here.
For when his thoughts of will lie down and sleep. For when I wake, he's still with me.
All right, are we able to see the shapes okay? I know it's a little light. Can you see the shapes? Is that a yes, or give me a thumbs up if you can see them okay? If it's big enough, okay. So look what we have here. It happens to be in the bass and the tenor, but the bass has a do. Okay, so by now, hopefully we always recognize the do, that triangle. And then what's above it?
Fa.
Fa, okay? The bass is gonna keep singing do all the way across. Do, but above it we have fa, mi. And if you listen, that's going to give us, this is called the fourth, and this is the third. This is going to give us that open sound, and this will move us back into the harmony. Let's see if you can hear it. I'm going to sing the tenor line just really quick.
For when I wake, he's still with me. His songs will
So you've got this little open sound here.
still with me. His songs.
I'll play it one more time to see if you can hear it. It kind of like you're waiting for it, and then it kind of closes back into harmony here.
When I wake, he's still with me. His songs.
Were you able to hear that in the harmony? Just curious. If not, it's okay. But there was a little something that wasn't quite there, and then it closed up into the harmony. That's an example. I'll play it one more time, because if you notice, the melody does not change at all. The melody is just do. All these notes are the same, but there's that little change right here that That's the kind of things that harmony does. It adds something to
In
it.
peace I will lie down and sleep, for when I wake he's still with me. His song.
Okay, raise your hand if you could hear that. If not, it's okay. But raise your hand if you could hear that. Okay? So that's a feeling. Now, the last one, or not the last, but second to last, I want to point out is that that really dissonant interval that we heard before. It comes between do and ti. And you're going to hear it right here in this song. So let's just listen really quick.
And though I struggle with the wrong, I sing because I know his song.
Okay? And what feeling do you get when you get to that word right there, song? Tell me what feeling you get.
And though I struggle with the wrong, I sing because I know his song.
What's your feeling? Sometimes they're hard to describe. What's your feeling? Did you feel anything?
Solemn.
Solemn. Okay. Yeah, there's some kind of a feeling there. And that's what's interesting, because now we're about to sing exactly the same notes, same words, but we'll get a different feeling to them.
I sing because I know his song.
Here's the harmony. What feeling do you get at the end? First of all, do you feel like we reached the end?
Yeah, it's like the
Everybody tell that we reached the end? So first of all, let's talk about some things that we know. What in the harmony, or sorry, first of all, just notes in general. What note will tell us that we've reached the end?
Do.
Do, okay. Where do we have do here?
In the bass and the soprano.
Right. Notice it's also in the bass. And you might remember the last thing I told you from our class before, the new thing that you're going to start looking at, before we looked at the melody, right? The top note. And what's the new thing I asked you to start looking at to start watching the harmony? Look at what?
Lower do.
The bass, all the way
Bass.
to the bottom, because that's what it's based on. That's a little bit of a pun, but it's also true. That's what it's based on. Okay, so we have do on the bottom, do on the top, and notice something really quick. What are the other two notes we have in between?
Sol and mi.
This is sol,
Sol
and that's mi.
Mi.
So in terms of harmony, and this is why you really have to know your shapes, because you got to see that, what we have here is do, mi, sol, right? What are the most important notes in music?
Do, mi, sol.
Mi, sol. And so almost always at the end of a song, that's what you're going to find. We went somewhere, we did all sorts of different things, and that's going to be the fun of it, like what different things we can do with the harmony. But you come back to do, mi, sol. Remember, we call that resolving. You get back to home, you get back where you wanted to be. Almost always, as we saw before, the melody will end in do. And even more often, because we said every once in a while the melody might end in something else, every once in a while, even more often than that, the bass will end in do. But almost always it's both. The bass tells us it's do, that's the harmony part. The melody tells us it's do. And then in this case, and a lot of cases, you'll see these fill it in. You'll see mi and sol, and boom, we're back to the most important notes. That's what happens with harmony. You go to all these different other things that give you these different feelings, and then you come back to home. to that nice harmony feeling. So that's an introduction, looking at some fancy things, but also that ending note is kind of what I would call the period. Boom, we're done. You know, that's the end. And we're going to see how that works today. I'm going to give you a little more vocabulary that we're going to work with, and then tell you what the most important parts are. So let me make sure we are sharing my screen. All right. And let me make it a little bit bigger maybe. Let's see, that's not all my screen. I find it better if I share all my screen. All right. Everybody able to see the notes fine there? I haven't written them yet, but let's see. Let me write a few notes. Let's do whole notes again so that you can see them. Okay, can everybody see the shape okay? That's going to be important. You want me to make it a little bigger? Yeah. Okay, everybody can see the shape okay? Remember, shape is key. It's like, otherwise it's like trying to read a book without knowing letters. You got to know the shapes. All right. Now I'm going to go up a third. So that means this is unison, right? Do, do. I'm going to skip over re and I'm going to go to mi. That's a third. So that will get us our nice third sound. Harmony sound, right? Nice sound. Sounds pleasing. And I'll just tell you that almost all of the harmony that is usually known, that we usually work with hymns and things like that, is based on thirds. Now, I'm going to add another third to that. So going from mi, then the second above mi would be fa, and then I will go again to sol. And now I have three notes together. This is called a triad, because there's three, but it's also called a chord. Anytime you have three notes together, we start calling it a chord. More things are happening. It's not just an interval with two notes interacting with one another. Now it gets really rich. We've got three notes interacting with one another. And let's listen to what that sounds like. What does that sound like to you? How do you feel about that?
Very happy.
Yes, exactly. It's happy, happy. It's a feeling, right? It is. It's wonderful. Okay. And then let me tell you the language that we use when we talk about a chord. The note that starts the chord, we call that the root. That's usually the base. That's what it's based on, like I said. That's the root. Then we go up, we skip over a note, and then we go to the third. And then counting from the root, this top note would be the fifth. So usually we refer to this as root, third, fifth, or 1, 3, 5. The reason it works is because we're using thirds. And as you guys noticed, our brains love thirds. I will tell you a funny story though. It used to be people kind of thought this grated on them a little bit. People used to like open chords better. So some of how we like things or how we feel is sometimes based on music that we've heard before. But I will tell you that the things, we won't get into it, but the reason these things work and sound nice has to do with the way God made them and the vibrations and the math and being in harmony. Okay? So one last time, beautiful chord. Beautiful. All right. Now I'm going to take the next note in the scale, re. And this time I want re to be, oh, Mark, you had a question?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to get into this. I just, it's my legitimate curiosity. Would that make that like a C chord then, or how would you, what would you call that?
So we'd call it a C chord.
Okay.
Because we're not talking too much about letters, because when you sing, you don't have to know letters, and that's the way musicians talk about it. But yes, this is a C here, so that would be considered a C chord. Yep. And it's fine to ask those questions, because that will help you to relate it to whatever you know, whatever you work with. So next I'm starting on re. And then I'm going to go up from re. I'm counting from re now. I'm making that the root. This is based on re. So from re, that's the unison. Then I'll go up to the second and the third. That will take me from re to fa. And then 2 more notes. Remember, you always skip over a note. Will get me to la. Okay? So we have re, fa, la. And let's just hear how that one sounds. What do you think about the sound of this one? How would you describe, what do you feel when you hear that one?
Sad?
What's that, sad?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people describe this chord as sad or dramatic. Right? And we're not going to get into reasons right now. That'll be later. But the happy ones are called major, and the sad or dramatic ones are called minor. Okay? So the major gives us a happy feel, and then the minor is the sad or dramatic. And we have names for them. So I'm going to write these names out real quick. And the names we use Roman numerals for them. So since this is the first note in the scale, starting with do, this is called the 1 chord. And we use Roman numerals for it to show, as musicians, to show that we're talking about a chord, not a note, not note number 1, but the entire chord, which is 3 notes, that is based on number 1. That's the root. So root, third, and fifth. This is called number 1. This one is chord number 2. But because it's minor, we're not getting too much into fancy music stuff, but just to let you know, this is how musicians write it. We write it with Roman numerals, but small Roman numerals. Okay? So that's chord number 2. Then the next chord is chord number 3. So I'm going to start on the 3rd note of the scale, which is do, re, mi. Skip a note, fa, so. Skip a note, la, ti. Okay? And let's listen to that chord. All right. Happy or dramatic? Happy or sad?
I hear drama.
All right, drama. Very good. Okay, so yes, this one is minor. And again, later we could talk about the reasons why. It has to do with the sound, the way God made it. But this is number 3, chord number 3. And we put it in small letters because it's minor. All right? Next, what would the next one start on? Do, re, mi. What does the next one start on? Do, re, mi. What? What is it? Fa. Okay, so we'll start on fa, then skip sol, la, skip ti, do. All right, and let's listen to this one. What does it sound like? Happy or sad? Happy. All right, we're happy again. So this is chord number 4, but we write it in big Roman numerals. It's a major chord. Okay. Next one. Sol. Ti. And notice we're actually passing the scale here, but that's okay because the notes keep going. I'm going to go past do and re. So this is sol, ti, re. Let's listen to it. Okay, what is it? Happy or sad?
Happy?
Yep. So it's also what we call a major chord. This is the 5 chord, super important. Then I'll just move on down here. Next one will be La. La, Do, Mi. Let's listen to that one. Feeling? What do you say?
It's sad. Sad.
Sad.
Thanks.
Sad. Okay, fine. So, isn't it interesting too how, you know, God gave us emotions for a reason, and sadness is there for a reason. It's not bad to feel sad depending on the reason why. You know, there's some things we should feel sad about. So, one of the beautiful things about music is we're able to express that. We're able to think about that and get it out, you might say. So, let's put this. This is 6. Now, here's an interesting one. Let me put the 7. So the 7 is T, Do, T, Re, and Fa. Okay, tell me what you think about this one.
Still sad.
Okay, still kind of sad. Okay, anybody else? I will tell you that it is different than the minor ones. It's different. What's that?
Low? It's like in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle?
I don't know.
That might be a good description. I will just give you the way we write it out as musicians. We still write it small, but what should I use for this? That, yeah, it's like a little 0 after it. And I don't have, it should be a round 0 with like a little round O. I could probably go ahead and do that. Close enough. It's somewhere on my keyboard. I forgot where. It should be a little round O that's empty. And this is called a diminished chord. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but I will tell you what it is. It's the opposite of the 1. Okay. Let me do a little quick something here that I would use often as a musician, and you might have done this some with MuseScore as well. Okay, look at this measure. Everybody see the measure I'm doing? I'm going to select measure with chord number 1. Okay, I'm going to go up to edit, and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to go down here, edit, paste. Did any of you use that with MuseScore? Okay. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to, it's still selected. Yeah, I'm going to transpose it, and I'm going to go up 1 octave. Now you understand what that is. What is an octave? How many notes? 8 notes altogether. And what is unique about an octave? What happens when you get to the octave? Like we said, we saw a do, and then what happens when you get to the octave? What note are you at?
1 sound.
The same sound, right?
Sound, 1 sound.
Yeah. So I'm going to do it an octave up, and if you notice, we have do, mi, so, right? When I transpose it, it's going to be exactly the same thing, but higher. Do, mi, so. Okay? And the reason I'm doing that is I just want you to hear what it's going to sound like to go from the 7 to the 1. If you notice, we finished our whole scale. We're back to the beginning again, basically, right? So listen to what it sounds like to go from the 7 to the 1. Listen to that again. Listen to both of them. So what does it feel like to go from this one to that one?
Climbing.
Okay, climbing. All right.
It reminds me of going from T to Do.
Well, what do you know? What is this? T? What is it?
Do.
What do you know? So, like I said, some of the same things that we learned in melody are now basically just amped up in harmony. It is T going to do. And then when you build harmony on top of it, you get an even stronger feeling of what it's like to go from T to do. So let's hear it one more time. Right? We've got that. Not ended yet? Yes. Right? Home. So there's some harmony things. All right, let's listen to everything, all of it. From the beginning. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay? And it's kind of interesting the way you said this is like T going to do. It's a good way to say it almost that the one chord is like an expansion of do, right? It gives us that feeling of do. And it's expanded because when you build it, we call it, we build this chord, you build the thirds on top of it. We get that, and that's why these are the most important notes. Do, mi, so. Do, mi, so. Those are the most important notes. Okay? Let's just take a quick look at some songs. Okay? But first I want you to remember this, because we've already studied it. We know they're the most important notes. Do, mi, so, right? Oh, I know one other thing I want to tell you real quick. Let me just go down here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's write this in. Do, mi, so. Okay? What chord is this? Which one? You remember? What's that?
Do.
Okay, but we call it by
1.
right. So the vocabulary we're going to use is this is the 1 chord.
1.
Right? That's the 1 chord. Now I want you to watch something. You see the note in the middle? The note in the middle is mi, right? You see it? Okay. Watch what I'm going to do with this chord. Okay. I took the mi over here and I moved it an octave up. Now it's way up here. Did you see that? So here I have do, mi, so. On this chord, I also have do, mi, so. I've just changed the order and how it's spaced out. Can you see that? And for harmony terms, yikes, what measure are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'll start playing in measure 14 so you can hear it. In harmony terms, they're both the same. Both of these are still the 1 chord. Because they both have basically the same feeling. The difference is one is higher, one is more spaced out. Okay? Can we tell that? Now let's see. Let's take another look. Okay, here's one again. Do, mi, so. What if I take the do and move it up? So if I put the do on top, can you see that this is still do, mi, so? Can you see that? And what we do, we call this inversions, like doing it in different order, but it's all the same. So what if I take that mi and put it way up here? Can you tell that this is still do, mi, so? And so what we have is we have a bunch of different ways of getting the same feeling. All the same feeling, but different ways to write it out. And then once we get into full harmony, you get stuff like this. That's 4-voice harmony. What is this? And that's why you got to know your shapes, right? It's like reading a word. You have to be able to read the letters. What are these shapes here? What notes do we have here?
Do, mi, so.
Mi, sol, do.
It's do, mi, so again, right? So even though there's like a lot of different notes spread out, what we need to learn to do, this is what you learn to do in harmony when you read harmony, is you recognize there's a lot of notes there, but it's only based on this. That's all. It's those 3 notes. Do, mi, so. Okay? Now, one last thing I'm going to tell you before we jump to our songs. Sometimes, actually quite a bit in hymn writing, you will see something like, actually, let me put it here. You will see something like this. Okay, let's analyze that chord real quick. What do you see there?
2 do's.
No, not just 2 do's.
Oh, 3 do's.
3 do's. Okay, we got 3 do's. And so that means there's only one other note, 4-part harmony, 3 do's. So we've got only one other note. What is that other note?
Mi.
Me, 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 me.
Okay. And it's an interesting thing about chords that usually if you have just the root and the third, you will get the sound of the chord. And so this does happen quite a bit, especially at the end of the song. Sometimes people don't write the sol. You just get do and mi, and that will give you the sound of a 1 chord. But this one is just a little bit more full. I might say this one might give you even more of a finality feeling because it's so much do in your face, right? This one, I actually like a little better when it works. This one sounds a little bit more full and a little bit more harmonious because you include the sol in there. But what I want you to get about all of these is they are all what? The 1 chord. All of these are the 1 chord. They're all this. It's just a bunch of different ways of writing it. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's listen to them one more time. Let's listen to those last 2 real quick. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. What do you hear is the difference between this one and this one? Any difference? They're pretty close.
The second one sounds, I don't know how to say it, like more full.
Oh, yeah, that's the way I would describe it. Yep. But this one definitely sounds like boom, the end, right? So, okay. Very good. So this is our goal, for you to start recognizing, just like, remember when we started our melody, I said at least make sure you recognize do. The rest will come bit by bit, but make sure you recognize do. So now in harmony, make sure you recognize the 1 chord. Okay? And as we've said, where does the 1 chord usually happen? Just like do. Where do we usually see do? At what?
The end.
At the end. Okay? So, time to jump on YouTube. And actually, we've already done it, right? What happens with this song? What do we see right here? What are your notes?
Do, mi, so.
There it is.
Do, mi, so.
Do, mi, so. This is a 1 chord. Boom. Not only getting back to do, but getting back to the chord. 1 chord. All right. Name a song. Any song.
Were you there?
Were you there?
Were you there?
By the way, most songs usually start with the one chord too.
Hmm.
Not necessarily all. This is a little more common that, you know, some will start not on a different chord. But what chord is this?
One chord.
It's
Yeah.
a one. It's a do, mi, so.
So,
What chord is this?
so the one chord.
It's a one chord. Do,
One chord.
mi, so,
So,
and
do.
do again. What chord is this?
Do, so, do, so.
It's a one chord again. Do, so, do, mi. Which means if we were to break it down to its essence, it's do, mi, so, right? Different ways of writing it, but it's do, mi, so. It's not until here that we put a law in there, the person who arranges put a law, that we actually get into a different chord. Up until then, we are moving around, but we're still expressing that same feeling, which is the one. We're moving around, but we're getting the one. All right? So we're not going to spend too much time here. We're going to go to the end.
Oh, sometimes it tremble. Were you there when he rose up from the dead?
What chord do we have here at the end? It's a one.
One
What's missing?
sol.
Sol, right? And so what did I tell you would often happen at the end of a song? And we'll get more into the reasons for it later, but sometimes we will omit the sol. But look, what do you have in the, right? Here it makes it clear. Soprano and alto, do. And then bass, do. And I don't know if you remember me mentioning this, but mi is a very powerful note. You just kind of barely touch it. It's already there in the air. That has to do with physics. When you sing do, mi is inside that note. If you have time, look up harmonics or overtones. It explains how, I mean, it's all based on the vibrations. When you hear one note, there's other notes in the air. It's true. It's just the way to say it. It's not like, what do you call it? Supernatural. It's the way waves work. When there's one wave, there's also the wave that's half that long and a third that long, and you hear extra notes. So anyway, because of that, this note mi is very strong. We don't need a lot of people singing mi. And that's one of the things that we'll mention. Usually, whatever the third of the chord is, we do not want to double it up because it's so strong, especially when you use this final, you usually don't want any, like two parts singing mi. It'll be way too strong. So we got all these do's and then just one mi, and this is the one chord. All right, another song. Come on, what did you sing last Sunday? Any song. It's funny, you can think of a million of them until somebody asks you to name one, right?
"'Tis So Sweet."
Oh,
Sorry, somebody else.
Okay. Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus.
'Tis so sweet to
All right.
trust
This
in.
one moves right away. We'll talk more about the move later, but what is the first chord? Again, it may be in different places. That depends on what we call the key, where do is, but this is do, sol, and mi. Is everybody able to see are we big enough? Can we see the shapes? Okay, so what chord is this?
One
Do,
chord.
mi, sol.
Do.
One chord. All right, let's pop to the end.
Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more.
What's the end?
Still one chord. Do.
It's the one chord. Do you see your do, mi, sol there? Yes, we do have the sol. And it looks like this is written for 5 people. Usually what this means is bass, take your choice. Oh, for grace to trust him more or trust him more. Either way, you get the same feeling because you land on do. Melody ends in do. Bass ends in
Do.
do. Okay? And let's just listen to this really quick. Just that little last part we ended with. How do you feel when you hear this?
Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more.
How do you feel? Happy. Is this a dramatic song? No. Right? It's happy, which is fine, right? There are different emotions that we feel. So to look back briefly over, let's go to this. Oh, it's not here. Sorry. Let me pull this out to our, oh no, it is on that page. Sorry. To go back briefly to our chords here, I told you that most of our songs in the songbook are happy, happy, happy. Most of them. Okay? So what chords are most of our songs going to use? Do you remember how to tell the difference? How we write the difference?
1, 4, and 5.
It's going to be 1, 4, and 5. That's correct. And now you know that, but not only do you know that, you know why. Because that's the happy feeling. So most of the chords in our song, once you start analyzing, and where I'm not going to push you to analyze a whole bunch right now, but once you start analyzing, you'll find that most of the chords are either 1, 4, or 5. And next time we'll look at if as far as like you going out and trying some stuff, look at a bunch of songs. And first of all, notice that in almost all cases, you might find a very, very few, and we can talk about them if you do. It'll be interesting. But in most cases, they will end on 1 in the bass, right? And if you look above, then you'll see the 1 chord. You'll see do, mi, sol in whatever order. But you'll see do, mi, sol. You'll see the 1 chord above it. And then if you want to go further than that, start watching the bass. And let me just show you something here real quick. This we won't get too far into it, but let me show you what it would look like. This is not kind of like 4-part harmony. It wouldn't usually be written like this, but this is a good way to see it. Usually if you have do, mi, sol up here, right? Then way down in the bass, the deep bass part, we're going to be singing the root, which is do, right? For the 2 chord, we'll be singing the root, the main part, which is re, and so on. A 3 is mi. A 4, the root will be fa. 5, the root will be sol. Something interesting happens when we get here, and we saw it something like that before. The bass might be singing sol, or it might be singing sol. You see that? Because there's no difference when it comes to harmony. This one is higher, this one is lower. And we can have fun with bouncing back from high to low, but harmony is going to be the same thing. The sol is the root of 5. The root of 6 is la, or it could be this la down here. Rarely ever does the bass sing this one. And so we'll talk more about that later. And then we're back to do. Usually this is too high for the basses to sing. It could be done. It's done in a few songs, but usually you will see the do down here. Okay? So this is just if you want to go a little further advanced while you are reading a song, look it up online, a cappella, look at the bass, look what the bass does, and start to get an idea of what the bass is doing. And the main thing is always look for this. Look for a 1 at the end. Bass will be singing do. Up on top, you'll have do, mi, so. And you might skip the so. Any questions about that? That's actually quite a lot. We covered a lot. But at the same time, I think we got to something that you can actually understand and get, you know, you can start seeing. Now, your homework. This is going to be thrilling. Are you ready? Let me pull out my MuseScore and just pull out the first song that comes up. I don't remember. What's the last one we looked at? Let's see. Da, da, da. A new version of MuseScore. Wow. Let's see. Oh, they're all listed here. All right, let me just pull that one out. I don't remember. Okay. So, watch this. This is what I want you to do to your song. Okay, remember, we're supposed to have at least one song, right? And it could be just a melody. If you're still working on the words, that's fine. We can work on that as we go. But I want you to have at least one melody that we can do something with. And this is your homework. I'll do it for Ray right now. Okay, ready? This is your homework. I want you to take the last note and put in the bass. It's going to be one note. What note is it? What am I going to have in the bass here? What note? Oops, wrong. What note am I going to have in the bass?
The do.
So
No. Why didn't it convert it? That should be a do.
The bottom line isn't, the measure isn't.
Not. Yeah.
up.
Oh, man. I have. Okay, so everybody watch this. You remember all that property stuff we did before? I don't even know if I remember how to do it.
Press in.
Okay.
Press in.
N.
Yeah, he's gonna take your note off. So press in.
Okay, N.
Okay.
Oh, it's not working. N.
Okay, there you go. Now click the staff, the
Click the
base.
staff.
Right click it.
Right click it or option click it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, option click it. We've done this before. It's control click. Sorry, on Mac it's control.
Oh man.
Right click or control click. Staff properties and advanced and turn it to 7 shape Aiken. So, and remember, press OK all the way. So you might remember we turned this staff into shape notes. I guess I didn't even think about it. We have to turn the bottom staff into shape notes as well. Does everybody, that make sense? All right. So now what am I going to do? Bass note. Get out of there. Bass note. Boom. There we go. That's your homework. Think you can do that? So if you don't have a whole song done, then I want you to get to work on that. Finish at least one song with the rule somewhere in there. Let's just start right here. And listen to this. Oh no! Did you hear it? I don't hear the bass. That's horrible. It's there. I don't know why we don't hear it. All right, I'm going to sing it. And later I'll figure out why we don't hear it. Okay. We'll just start right here. Come on. Lord. Wait, I did hear it that time. Let me see. Maybe it's because I just covered one. I'm still learning MuseScore. Maybe it's just because I only covered one part. Let me see. This is not going well. Maybe you have to click here. Ooh, look at that. Okay, this is weird. I'm gonna try this. Shift click. It looks like you only hear one part of your staff if you do that. There we go. I think that will not be an issue if you start from the beginning of the song, but maybe you have to click both staves. I'm still learning MuseScore. So once again. What happened here? What did the bass tell us? Ending, right? Just like the melody did, the bass also tells us an ending. I do not want you to put the tenor and the alto yet, because that will have to do with what comes before it. So this is like putting the period on your song. Just put a do at the end, okay? And the other part of your homework is to start looking at as many songs as you can, watch the bass, and especially watch the end. So you start getting used to what it looks like to put a 1 chord at the end. And then what we're going to start to study next is, what do you put before that 1 chord? What do you do? What are all the other ways you can use some harmony until you get to that do, mi, so at the end? All right, we're about to the end of time. Any questions? Okay, once again, if you could send me your homework and put a date on it, your name and date on it, so that I'll know more or less what time we're working with. And along with that, anything you want to add, words, change your melody, give a melody if you haven't yet, or a few of you haven't done it, just a few, go ahead and add whatever you want to your melody, and then add the bass note to the harmony, and next time we're going to add more to the end every time. All right? Is that it for now? Any questions? All right. I'm excited. I love harmony. Yay! So hoping that we will have a lot of fun with this. Yay! I see people happy. Yay! Good. We go through the sad and the dramatic, and we get to the happy. Wonderful. Let's see, Mark, could you lead us in prayer as we go? Let's see how I get it. There we go.
Absolutely. Let's pray. Almighty God and Father, we're so thankful, God, for everything that you do for us, for all the wonderful blessings that you provide for us, God. We're especially thankful, God, for the brethren and those that are willing to serve and teach and help edify one another and teach others in different ways that we can serve you, God. We're so thankful for those that are willing to strive and work for you and for your glory, God. Thank you so much for the brother and the work that he's done to provide this lesson for us. Also, God, we want to ask that as we all depart and go our separate ways, that we keep our minds on you, God, that we remain focused on you and on heaven, and we focus our thoughts on the heavenly places, God, and not the things of this world necessarily, God, but also, God, we ask that you help us reach those in the world, God, and continue to preach your message everywhere that we go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.